afternoon and Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome to our weekly international prop chat on every Wednesday, 3 p.m. at Facebook Live at IQI International Sales page. I'm Mandy Chen, head of IQI International Sales. On behalf of IQI Global, a member of GUI IQI, the Asia's biggest real estate and investment agency, I would like to take this opportunity to thank everyone for supporting our program. Our sharing usually features some of the foreign investment criteria and best project in the various hotspots around the globe. If you like our program, which you think that is benefiting you, do invite and share it with your friends. Should you have any comment and questions, feel free to leave it in the comment box. We shall revert to you. Today, I'm going to talk about Melbourne, Australia. I'm sure everyone here have been to Melbourne or heard of Melbourne before. Please type 1 if you've been to Melbourne or you love this particular cities. Well, despite the pandemic, Melbourne real estate continued to grow and in fact is growing the demand for investor, especially the foreigner. So are you looking for a property to invest? This is the right time to get into the Melbourne property market, you'll be wondering. And here is the quick guide about Melbourne. Stay tuned and find out the latest updates of Melbourne real estate and hotspot for this month. Without further ado, let me share my slide. As you know that Australia has been voted the most livable city in the world for many years. And in fact, these are the 5 main cities in Australia that have been voted as one of the most livable cities as at 2021 by the Economics Intelligence Units. You can see that Adelaide ranked number 3, Perth ranked number 6, Melbourne ranked number 9, Brisbane ranked number 10, and Sydney ranked 11th. This population map shows that overall Australians' population is around 25 millions, and majority of the growth is coming from the net migrations, overseas migrations. And Victoria itself, the population is 6.5 million. In fact, it's the second highest amongst other cities in Australia. This is the population growth rate by state. And you can see that it's just right after the Sydney and Melbourne is actually heading number 2 amongst all the cities. In fact, Melbourne populations in 2022 is expecting to be 5.31 million. One of the reports from our GUI IQI in terms of Asians' inquiry to Australia, you can see that the top 10 cities, Melbourne stand out to be number 1. For the consumer motivations, majority of them, they are buying for own use. And second, they're going for investment. Third one, they're going for educations. Then the rest will be either retirement, holidays, immigrations, or go for rental use. From this chart, you can see that house price performance have varied since 2010 all the way to 2021. It's almost about 11 years. And look at it right in the chart. The blue color is Sydney. The second one will be Melbourne. And you can see that it continues to grow higher and higher. This is a national property clock whereby it actually explains the current real estate markets in Australia and divided into 2 categories, houses and units. Units is actually stand for apartments. And you can look at this property clock. You can see that the top 6 cities in Australia, Adelaide, Brisbane, Melbourne, Gold Coast, Perth, Sydney, are on the rising markets. Soon they're going to be the peak of the markets. And for units, you can see that Melbourne is at the stage of recovery, whereas Adelaide, Brisbane, Perth, and Sydney is on the rising markets. So do you think there is potential to invest now? Look at this property clock. It tells you everything. And this property clock usually update every month, and you can see that it changes according to the current market outlooks as well as the transactions in the markets. Why Melbourne? Well, this is the second largest cities in Australia. Also one of the most livable city in the world for 7 consecutive years. No doubt for the past 2 years it has dropped, but again, it has been voted as the top before. It's a vibrant lifestyle. In fact, it's a magnificent cities in which you can live, work, and study. Besides the cultural capital of Australia as well, well known for its music, art centers, museum, and home to many different celebrations. Also one of the Australia's best visitor destinations, world-class educations. In fact, Melbourne have actually named Australia's best student city. Also, it's a powerhouse for business in Australia, which create lots of job opportunity and business potential. In fact, every year there's more than few 100,000 people actually migrate to Melbourne alone. And there continue to be a strong foreign interest in Melbourne, not only from tourism, migrations, investment, as well as amongst developers around the globe that tends to choose Melbourne as one of the project investments and developments. Look at this graph. The Melbourne property price starting from 2005 to 2021, in fact, almost 16 years. And you can see that the light blue color denote house, and the dark blue colors denote apartments. You can see the price since September 2005 all the way has been increasing almost every year to the top right now, September 2021. And you can see that in fact every 10 years the property tends to have a fall despite any situations. In fact, Melbourne, or I would say Australia, have never gone through any crisis before. This graph shows that the Melbourne property price trend and change of during value. You can see that for the past 3 months have been increased 2.4%. This is as at December 2021. And within 12 months, it's actually increased 16.3%. And average annual growth for past decade have increased by 5.6%. And you talk about median value for the properties, you would see that average median price is about 788,000 Aussie dollars. And for house, median value is about 986,000. And for apartment is 626,000. When it comes to rental rates and yield, weekly rental is around, for house is about 440. For units is about 390. And in terms of the gross rental yield for house is about 2.4% and unit is 3.4%. Why? Is because in terms of the house value is actually relatively higher than the unit, depends on the locations. And in terms of the selling times and discounting, I would say that time on the market is actually within a month. That's actually pretty fast when it comes to turnover. And also not much discounts given by the rental in this case, which is pretty healthy. And this shows you the graph has been going outward trend. You can see that whether it's a house or units, it continues going up. And from the Victoria Housing Loan Finance, you can see that from this graph that in fact, majority of the housing loan finance come from owner-occupier. A lot of first home buyers too. In fact, recently they have actually increased because the governments are giving lots of incentive and temporary waiver of stamp duty that actually push up the demand for the first home buyer. And investor, in fact, is actually in the middle, I would say. Okay, so therefore you can see that majority of people who invest or who buy properties in Victoria are mainly owner occupier. This is Melbourne map. For those that who's not really familiar with Melbourne, you can see that Melbourne City is actually just a square box in the middle. Okay, and if you divide this map into four sectors, north, south, east, west, that's where I will go into a little bit detail on the locations and the suburbs for you to get familiar with it. So those within the distance 5 kilometers to Melbourne CBD, we would actually classify as inner cities, and these are some of the familiar name or the locations or the suburbs that you would heard of. Okay, I'm sure any one of you have been heard of at least minimum 3 and above of all these suburbs, because in terms of Melbourne CBDs or within 5 kilometer inner cities is where investor would, especially foreign investor, would love to invest. And because due to the distance, it's actually very close to the CBD, and majority of the university like Melbourne U or RMIT are actually located within this precinct. So therefore, a lot of parents who are buying for kids and investor would love to invest in all these areas. So name a few like Southbank, Dockland, okay, Port Melbourne, Parkville. That's where nearby Melbourne U, and Brunswick, RMIT, okay, Footscray, West Melbourne, St Kilda, South Yarra, okay. You talk about Albert Park, Richmond, okay, Collingwood. These are just name a few. So because it's so close to the CBD, and the most of these suburbs are relatively matured, okay, and they do not have plenty of vacant lands available because it's all built up, okay. So therefore, in all these suburbs, usually it's very hard for you to find a house, okay. Majority of the developments, especially the new developments, is either high-rise apartments or those boutique developments come with apartments and townhouses. And prices, as you know, that those who are very familiar with Melbourne CBD or who actually invested in Melbourne CBD before, right now you talk about minimum 1 bedroom is like at least high 4 to about over $1 million, depends on number of bedrooms. So minimum you're talking about should be high 400,000 to about 800 to 900,000 apartments. That is just 1 to 2 bedroom. Okay, you talk about 3 bedroom easily above $1 million, and especially this these are the areas is close to the university, the two major universities in Melbourne. So therefore, the demand is actually pretty high. And before pandemic, especially with lots of tourists and international students, in fact, the rental for all this area is actually pretty good. But because due to the pandemic, that the border is closed, and tourists or visitor can't actually enter in Melbourne, and also international students are restricted to go into Melbourne. So therefore, you can see that the vacancy rate is actually getting a bit on the high side. But usually these are the area that is well connected and accessible. So if you want to buy any houses around this area, it's actually pretty hard. Okay. Chances that you might probably get townhouses, but townhouses easily cost you minimum about 900,000 to all the way to about 1.5 million already. So again, it's very limited supplies. So if you want to buy inner city especially, so usually the choice will be apartment. When you talk about the eastern and southeastern suburb, normally with in this case for these few locations we talk about is actually within 10 to 20 kilometers, and these are the few popular suburbs that you probably heard of as well. Hawthorne, Toorak, Armadale, Bowen, Kew, Camberwell, Doncaster, Grand Reverie, Clayton's, that's where the and Crowfield, that's where Monash University is located, and Box Hill, and these are the suburbs that whereby it's actually popular amongst the Asians, and I would say a lot of Asians prefer to stay in these locations because they have good infrastructures. Because Melbourne started from the eastern and southeastern suburbs, so therefore, in terms of the transportations, amenities, shopping malls, schools, infrastructures are all well established. Therefore, Asians, not only Asians, local also prefer to stay in this area because it's actually very convenient, not too far from the cities, good suburbs, established suburbs, and you name a few like Camberwell, Kew, and Bowen. All these are those premium suburbs that is very mature with good schools, those top ranking school around. So that's where Asians like to move or stay around this area. And for all these suburbs, usually, again, it's pretty hard to get those house and land package. I would say that it's probably hard, rare chance that you get those house and land package unless you buy into secondary markets. But again, if even though you buy into secondary markets, it will definitely cost you above $1 million already. So you can't actually get anything below $1 million. And they might have apartments, some apartments developments going on. That's where you can get more affordable price as to compare to buying those townhouses or house in all this area. So people who love to stay around this area, they would rather invest in apartments because they want the address. Apartment actually starting from minimum, I would say 500,000 and above. Okay, depends on number of bedroom. Also, townhouses without $1 million, you can't consider in this location. So very demandable or when it comes to this eastern and southeasterns, not just for local, for Asians investor would also love to invest in this area. So for those who like this part of the world, which is more established in terms of the transportations, okay, I would say that you can go further a bit, probably after 20 to all the way 40 kilometer, whereby you probably can still get more affordable houses, okay, such as Ringwood, Kisborough, Springville, all these, you can still get townhouses below $1 million, and also you can get some good apartments as well, starting from about mid 400,000 to about 700,000 to 800,000. Okay, depends on number of bedroom. And if you will go further a bit, like 30 kilometer all the way to 40 kilometers, you such as Dandenong, Cambron, and Frankston, all these, you can get those house and land package, whereby the price is probably around high 400,000 to about 600,000, and you can minimum get about 3 to 4 bedrooms with double garage. Okay, so it depends what you want. Okay, if you would prefer to live this part of the world and you want to invest just house and land package landed, okay, you have to go further away. Otherwise, you have to compromise for apartments or townhouses, or you probably need to pay a bit higher on the price. And let's talk about northern side. Okay, for this locations we are talking about is located northern and northwest within 7 to 20 kilometer, such as Preston, Ivanhoe, Escottville, Essendon, okay, Morningport, Yarraville, Bundura, Queenville, Ipin, and Broadmeadows. All these locations is actually again is also getting popular because a lot of people cannot afford to buy into eastern and southeasterns, or they couldn't find more decent houses or apartments. They move to northern. Okay, northern part is actually good. They have a few quite good suburbs and with well connectivity of the transportations. Okay, so therefore it's also getting popular. Ivanhoe, Escottville, all this is not cheap because again this is one of the premium suburb on the north side, whereby a lot of locals wealthier locals love to stay in this area. You probably hard to get those houses, okay, perhaps townhouses or apartment you can get, and also minimum you are talking about around townhouses is around million and above already. You talk about apartments, depends on which locations. Okay, Bundura you can still get a very decent price of the townhouses, whereby in the range of 700,000 to about mid of 800,000, and that is where they have this local RMIT and La Trobe University at this location. So it's also getting popular. All right. Greenville, Ipin, and Broadmeadow is more on the house and land package because it's further away. It's about 20 kilometers. So that's where you can still get plenty of land to build a house and land package, and which developer can offer. So in these locations, you probably do not need to buy apartments with that kind of budgets, like I would say about mid 500,000 to about 700. You can buy a decent house and land package, 3 to 4 bedroom. Okay, so if you want to compromise, go a little bit further, you can get those landed. Okay, if you want to have more reasonable price, okay, more affordable, I would say, is that you have to go anything beyond 20 kilometer to all the way to 60 kilometer, like Wallen. Okay, all these locations you probably can get those like house and land package about I would say 400,000 plus to about 600,000 plus with a bigger block of land, bigger build up. Okay, so but then you have to sacrifice for the distance because it's further away. In all these locations, usually is many house and land package. You probably do not want to buy apartment in these locations because there are plenty of land to build the landed. So therefore, this is those locations that if you really look for a bigger block of land or bigger house with more affordable price. Okay, we have talked about east and southeasterns and north side. Okay, right now let me bring you to the western suburb. Western suburb compared to the southeastern and the south as well as the north is actually relatively newer. Okay, because they are so established in both sectors, and therefore right now people want to have more affordable home, they will have to shift to western suburb because it's a new suburb, I would say, and there are plenty of vacant lands available, lots of builders or developer who sell house and land package. Hardly apartments, but mainly all the house and land package in these locations like Williams Landing, Point Coast, Hopper Crossing, Tanya, Tukaninia, Werribee, all these. So in these locations, as you go further, like Werribee, which is 40 kilometers to Melbourne CBD, that's where you can get a very affordable pricing. You talk about 400,000 Aussie dollars, you can get like minimum 3 bedroom, okay, 3 bedroom, 2 bath or double garage. All right. But if you talk about Williams Landing, which is closer to the CBD, excuse me, in this case, you are talking about like around less than around within 20 kilometers. So and the house and land package is almost double of Suburbs already. Over here, Williams Landing minimum you're talking about 700,000 baht plus to about 800 high 800,000s. And Williams Landing proven the record that within 10 years, the property price have been a fold. That means it's double. Okay. Therefore, subsequently follow up with Point Cook. Okay. And right now, extend all the way to Tanya to Kaninia, whereby you can get more affordable home, which is around 500,000 plus to about 600,000 plus for 3 or 4 bedroom, depends on the build up and the size of the land. So in this case, it's like if you buy in the western suburb, you probably do not need to buy apartments because hardly you can see any apartments, but mainly house and land package because plenty of land available in these locations. So as an investor myself, I do invest in Australia, and I gone through the pain. Okay, when buying into Australia. So with my little experience, and I would like to share these few factors that I consider, especially when you want to invest in Australia or in this case Melbourne. Affordability, we are talking about budgets. What is your budget? What is the price that you decide to buy or invest in the properties? Okay, this is actually very crucial because that will actually decide where you should invest. Because as you know that every suburb, regardless whether north, south, east, west, they have a price to pay for it. Okay, if you want to be in the more established suburbs, hence you have to pay higher price. Okay, but if you have a minimum investments which you go for affordabilities, then you have to compromise to the suburbs that which offer you slightly more affordable pricing. So that's very important. You can't tell me, Mandy, I want to invest in Melbourne CBD, but I'm looking for landed, but my budget is only 400,000. I don't think you can get any even one bedroom apartment in Melbourne CBD. You probably can't pay 400,000 easily. You're talking about high 4 or minimum low 500,000. So that's just one bedroom. Okay, so this is very important. Most of the time, the clients will come back to me with unrealistic budgets, which I think that is impossible to get those property, even though you would wait for 10 years later, you probably also would not be getting that kind of price. Even though with the pandemic right now, the property have not gone more than 50%. Okay, so therefore it's like it's not realistic to have such budgets if you do not know very well as in the Melbourne markets. All right. So purpose, I'm sure you have purpose of buying, whether it's for investments, for migrations, for kids' educations. Therefore, we have to understand what is your purpose when it comes to investment. You cannot say that, Mandy, I want to buy a house and land for my kids in Werribee, which is 40 kilometers from the Melbourne. Do you think that your kids will stay that far away? Usually don't. They will prefer to stay closer to the universities. Okay, or if you are buying for holiday home, okay, so you rather choose those area which is well connect with all the transportations, close to shopping malls, or if you are a family, you're migrating there, you probably will wants to buy those landed, okay, a decent landed with at least minimum 3 to 4 bedroom. So depends on your budget and criteria, because you can't be buying one bedroom apartment in CBD because it's family staying. All right. So Locations, the third one is like, again, location depends on your budget. Okay, some of the established locations, like I mentioned before, that close to the school, and usually you can see that the price is actually much higher. Okay, and nowadays a lot of people have relatives and friends, or you, I would say you graduate from Melbourne, you are very familiar with the locations, and somehow you have your preference in terms of the locations. Okay, so therefore this is also very important when you decide where to invest, because location at the end of the days will actually um, relate to the rental yield and capital growth as well. So therefore it's like where you want to invest. Okay, and what kind of budgets you're looking at. So it's actually pretty important to look at. Okay, um, types of properties you are talking about, they are apartments, you want to buy high-rise apartment or low-rise apartment, or you want to buy townhouses, or you want to buy house and land package or landed. Okay, so again, depends on what is your purpose, objective, and the preferred locations. Let's say, for example, you would want to invest in uh, a house. Okay, but you definitely can buy in Melbourne CBD because there's no landed available in Melbourne CBD. So all these are related, interrelated. Okay, when it comes to factors to consider. All right, and finance capability depends whether you want to buy. You are cash buyer, or you need to get a mortgage. Okay, and right now Australia have actually start loosen up the lending, and they have more options available for foreigner who wish to invest in Australia. No doubt, Australia Bank haven't actually opened up to foreigner yet. Okay, but there are second tiers or third tiers, those finance house, which is safe because they are licensed. Okay, which they provide lending. Okay, this is like our finance. House in Malaysia, okay, they do give mortgage to foreigner. So therefore, there are mortgage brokers who work on all this company. They can actually assess your financial and see how much you can loan, and what sort of uh, 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 investment amount required to invest that particular locations, or that particular properties. All right. So again, that's very important because usually I would say that it's about as a foreigner, if you want to loan, it's about 50 to about 60% margin unless you are local. All right. So in terms of the costs and expenses when it comes to purchase foreign investment, that is again very important uh, points that you need to ponder, because there's additional cost involved, because especially buying foreign investment, you are not too sure about how much you're going to pay for stamp duty, the legal fees, the inspections, or I would say the minimum investment amount, the down payment, all these things, the maintenance fee if you buy apartments, the council rate, all these will be actually add up to the affordability, because if you are not just buying a property based on the sales and purchase agreement, and on top of that you need to add on additional costs when come to invest in Australia. So I will go a little bit detail later on in my later slide about this cost, but easily you have to factor at least minimum 5 to 10% on top of the purchase price for all these costs and expenses, right? Okay, when you invest in international, I mean in overseas, definitely you need local supports, because you can't be any problem you fly over to take a look and all these things. So local support, I would say after sales support is actually very important, especially you are foreigner. Okay, you are not based in Australia, and you need to engage a trustworthy professional to actually look after your investment or your property. Okay, so you need I would say lawyer. Okay, then you probably need a good accountants. You need a property uh, um, agents or property management agents to take care of your house or unit, or help you to rent out, okay, and collect the renters, and help you to shortlist all the tenants in the events that any defects going on. You need the local agents to help you to assess whatever repairs and so forth and so on. So a lot of these things is like sometimes when you encounter this kind of problems, it's like you probably have a headache if you do not know anyone who will be able to assist you. So in this case, this is actually very important. The last one I would say that is exit plan. Whether you are buying for own stay or investments, you tend to have a good exit plan, because in the events any rainy days or emergency, okay, whether you are buying it for own stay or investments or for your kid or whatsoever, you probably you might want to sell eventually, okay, cash out, okay, or for your retirements or for kids' educations, okay, or in the event you buy for kids and kids after graduate they decided to come back to Malaysia, they might not stay on, and you might not want to leave the house vacant, okay, so you decided to sell. So you always want to have a good exit plan, and especially in Australia that you can only sell your properties to locals, PR, or citizens. You can't sell to another foreigner. This is their law, okay? You can't change it. Even for locals, they want to sell, they can't sell to foreigner, because foreigner can't buy into secondary market, but only into their primary market. So in this case, I will always suggest to my clients or to my friends that you always want to buy where the local would love to stay. Okay, that's where local demand is. Okay, because at the end of the day, you're going to sell back to them. Okay, if they don't like to stay at the place, it's like chances that you might not be able to sell with a good profit, or I would say at the end of the day, your rental yield and capital appreciation will not be that potential. Okay, so in this case, it's like always buy where local likes. I always stress this. All right, so don't go into those investor preferred, but more towards local demand. Okay, that will make your investment more sound and safe. All right, so at the end of the day, all these factors are interrelated when it comes to making decisions when investing in Australia. So therefore, you need to do your own research, okay, and as well as seek professional advice. Okay, that's actually utmost importance, because you might not know all the informations. Of course, right now, by going online, especially Australia, the market is actually information is very transparent. You can get all sort of information, data, okay, all the costs and buying patterns in the website, okay. But you still have to do your own due diligence, and of course, if you can get the professional advice, that would be better, because they know better than you, okay, rather than and auntie uncles that who might not be very familiar in the market, but or not up to date information. So this is actually very important. So of course, through my little experience, and I always put myself as investor, and I will always think what investor wants. Okay, when come to the criteria to get a good property. So these are my few thoughts that I think that is actually relatively relevant. Okay, first of all, I'm talking about location. Just now I did mention that also locations will govern the price factors too, and your objective. Okay, so therefore it's like where you want to buy. Okay, even the type of property also related to the locations as well. So again, you want to buy in the Melbourne CBD, you have to just buy apartments. Okay, if you want to buy into western suburb like Werribee, please choose house and land package. All right. Infrastructure transportation, again, you must be I mean, especially nowadays, okay, not everybody own a car. I mean, even though you buy a car in Australia, it's actually pretty cheap, but again, not everybody own a car because parking in Australia or parking. I would say to get a parking in Melbourne is actually, especially in the CBD, is actually very costly. So a lot of people, even local, that depends on the public transportation. So all this must be well connected and easy accessible, so that will make your property more room to grow, okay, in terms of capital appreciations and more demand when it comes to rental yield. Shopping centers and amenities, again, that is another thing that right now everybody wants convenience. Best part is like if I could just walk across, that is the shopping center, or without less than 15 minutes, I can reach a shopping center or all the amenities, public park, gyms, swimming pool, library. All this is all convenience. Or markets that which is actually convenience to day-to-day usage. So therefore, it's like any properties that was close to all these shopping malls and amenities, chances that the demand is higher. All right. Educations, again, is like I mentioned before, my Melbourne, a lot of migrants, okay, and a lot of families actually migrate to Melbourne for kids education. So good school soon is actually again very important, as you can see that especially those suburbs that have those top ranking school catchment, you can see that most of the time the demand is very high, but the supply is actually very limited, and the entry price is actually very expensive because you probably can't get everybody wants to get into that locations, but they just have a limited supply. So those areas with good school zone definitely is a high demand, and you can see that the property price tends to go much faster compared to the rest. The verbal profile is also very important because that depends on the workmanship and the quality of the furnishings. No doubt in Australia, majority of the developer, they tend to give quite a good furnishings products, okay, but somehow rather some developer would probably give a little bit more premium kind of fittings and features, which would, again would benefit investor as well as the owner occupied, okay. So or they usually deliver the project. If you buy off the plan, they will deliver on time rather than at the end get abandoned. No doubt, not many abandoned projects in Melbourne, okay. But again, profile is actually very important. That's where we actually give a good valuations when come to your properties. Again, you want to buy into an area whereby they have population growth, okay. This is also very important because when population grows, there is a demand in housing, okay. There's no doubt about it. So therefore, always buy in an area whereby there's still room to grow when it comes to populations, whereby they have more employments and job opportunity. There are certain suburbs whereby governments is actually trying to redevelop, regenerate the whole precinct, okay. Such as South Bank governments have spent a few $100 million to upgrade the art to become an art precincts, okay, entertainment precinct, that kind. So this is where will increase the demand when it comes to housing, all right. So demographic, household structures and occupancy, this again is also one of the criteria when you look at to invest in property. As you know that if you were to buy apartment, you know that that particular area is mainly the demographic is for family. So again, if you were to decide to buy apartments, then definitely you can't buy just one bedroom. You have to buy at least 2 bedroom or 3 bedroom. Okay, and in terms of the household income, also that will actually justify your rental as well. If you were to rent it for professional, you know that that particular suburbs are mainly professionals staying. You know that they can afford to pay higher rental, so your rental yield will be more promising. And occupancy rate again is also very important. If you know that that particular locations or suburbs whereby there are demand, okay, in terms of the tenant, okay, chances that your occupancy rate is actually very minimum. Let's say, for example, one tenant out, immediately within a week you can get the next tenant in. So isn't it that be great? Okay, when it come to your renter. Okay, so usually good suburb, I have experienced less than a week you can rent out your property. Of course, don't talk about pandemic right now because it will slow down the process. But again, it's like if that location is mainly for locals, chances that you can see that a lot of people actually queuing up just to inspect your unit or your house, okay, before they're being qualified by the property agents to be shortlisted for renting your house. Okay, so this is very important. I experienced that I went to one house open whereby the queue is so long. Okay, a few hundred people actually wanted to rent that particular apartments. Okay, and the queue is so long that everybody was like trying to impress the property agent so that they can be shortlisted to get the units. All right. Affordability again very important because it depends on the price of the property you're going to pay. All right. Unique features. Some of the I would say nowadays, especially in Australia, they do have those like mixed use development whereby it's actually very well connect, whereby you step up from your units, you can go shopping, you can buy all the you can do your laundry. There's a cafe there. There's a club facilities there, so it's actually very convenient to you. Okay, you do not need to travel. Okay, and they also have maybe there's a public park just within a 5 minutes walk. All this is unique features, or your properties is just across the river. Okay, Yara River, for instance. Okay, a property that facing river is actually you need to pay a premium price. Again, there's not many developments that could actually face a river because the demand is actually the supply is actually getting very limited. Or you're next to a very popular cafe street like South Yara. Again, it's like over there, not many new developments going on already. So therefore, this will actually again will factor into the price and as well as the capital growth and the demand for the renter. So all this related to at the end you are looking at potential rental yield and capital growth. If you know that this particular suburbs or this particular project can give you a good rental yield and it's also surrounding that you can see that they have a track record that in terms of the capital growth, definitely you want to invest in this particular project, right? Local demand very important. Like just now I did mention that you need local to love this area so that at the end of the days when it comes to exit, even not just exit, but when it comes to renting out, it's so much easier. So if you agree that these are the points that related to searching a good property, so please comment for. Okay, please comment for in the comment box. Let me know that if you do agree these are the criteria that when come to look for good property, because a lot of people buying property sometimes you come from emotions or I like the furnishing, I like the design, all these things. But again, it's like to be more realistic, you should have factor in all these criteria before you decide to buy properties. So what are the choice that you have as a foreigner? I'm not talking about PR or citizens because you can actually buy any kind of properties, okay, in secondary markets, okay. But in you talk about foreigner, if you want to invest in Melbourne, so or Australia, I would say, you would have to buy off the plan, which is under constructions, or brand new, which is already completed but still under developer name, okay, or secondary markets only applicable for PR and citizens, okay. So there are a few types that you can choose, whether townhouses, okay, apartments, okay, another name for apartments, units, okay, and house and land package, okay. In this case, I'm just talking purely on residential. Of course, foreigner can actually invest in retail as well as commercial too. There's no restrictions and no minimum amounts. Okay, you can buy any amounts in Australia as a foreigner. All right. So this is the initial buying cost. As you see that if you were to buy into Melbourne, so usually if it's apartment or townhouses, initial deposit is just 10%, and then you pay nothing. Okay, no progressive. Okay, the balance 90% will be paid upon settlement. That means upon your properties has been completed and ready for settlements, then only you settle the 90%. Whether you paid 90% full cash or you go for mortgage, okay? And usually you do not need to get the loan right now, okay? Why I say so, because most of the off-the-plan project, it will take, depends on high rise or low rise, is usually about 2 to 5 years, okay? So usually 6 months before the completions, you will start to apply loan, because local will actually look at they check the variations of the surrounding, and they make sure that the property is ready before you are able to get a loan. All right. And the best part is all the deposit will be held under lawyer solicitor trust account. So in the events that, touch wood, any abandoned projects that or developer cannot fulfill within the sunset clause, the clause that are stated in the sales and purchase agreement, okay, you have the right to get refund, okay, from the developer. So the developer will actually authorize the lawyer to actually transfer all the deposits from the trust account. Some of them, they do pay the interest for you as too. No doubt Australia Bank, the interest rate will not be very high, don't expect much, but again, there's something. So at the end, your investment will not gone, okay, even though the project can't deliver, okay. So this is the safest part when you invest in Australia. House and land package varies, okay. You have to settle the 10% for the land deposit first, then subsequently they will issue a land title. Then after that, you need to fully settle the land portions, okay, and then only you can engage a builder to come in to build a house on top of it. And usually they will collect 5% of the building deposits, balanced by progressive payments, usually 4 to 5 stage. It's different compared to you buying landed in Malaysia, because Malaysia is like all package one in one. But in Australia, unless you buy townhouses, okay, townhouses is the so-called double-story link house, or whereby it is all in one contract, similar to apartments, okay. But for house and land package, you divide into two contracts: land one contract and house another contract. So it's two contracts. So therefore, the payment method will be slightly different. All right. So there's local stamp duty in Melbourne, 5.5%. Of course, different state in Australia, they have different local stamp duty, okay. So but in Melbourne it's 5.5%, and foreign surcharge also depends on the state as well, okay. Generally is 7%, okay, but in Melbourne it's 8%. So total, as a foreigner, you need to pay 13.5%, okay, when you invest in Melbourne. And on top of that, you have to pay the FRRB, Foreign Investment Review Board. Is a one-off payment to the government, the state governments, and that is amounting to AUD 6,350. And for property below 1 million, above 1 million, you have to pay a bit higher. All right. So this is a one-off payment. Okay. So and the fees has been changes. Okay, every year. Okay. So therefore, always check with the professional to get the latest update on the FRB. Okay. But right now, as at now, is 6,350. Okay, for lawyer fee, approximately it's about 2,000 to 3,000. Okay, and mortgage fee, if you were to apply loans, so usually they have application fees, and they might have some surcharge if you go through a mortgage broker, okay, or if you want to apply loan, so you can't run away from that. Other expenses such as variations, settlement fee, depreciation report, all this is small amount, a few hundred Aussie dollars. But at the end, all these expenses related to property, you can offset against your tax. Whatever rental income that you receive, you can actually minus off all the expenses related to buying these properties, okay, and eventually whatever income that you earn, you might not pay 100%, but you can offset all the expenses. So don't worry about all these expenses thing, whereby at the end of the day, you will offset against the tax. And in this case, please get the professional to do the complete advice and service for you, because they would know what can be deducted and what can't be, because Australia is actually pretty strict right now. Even though as a foreigner, I will always advise you to, it's a must right now to open a tax number, because or else when you come to exit, when you sell a property, they will have so much trouble, and they might have some withholding tax if you do not really declare or open a tax file. All right. So this is just some of my sharing experience that I can actually relate to you. So when it comes to annual expenses, body corporate is like maintenance fee if you were to buy apartments, okay, or some of the townhouses, whereby they will actually charge body corporate, okay, like building management fees, sinking funds, and fire insurance, okay, which cover under body corporate. Council and water rate. Council is like our cukai pintu, the assessment. The water rate is like the indoor water, okay. This is going to pay to the local councils. And leasing management fees, like if you were to engage a property management to help you to lease out, they will get the tenants, collect the rental, help you to pay the bill, do a proper report for you, and property inspection. In Australia, one of the best part is like every quarterly, the agents are allowed to go into your unit to do inspections. So in the event that anything goes wrong, they can give warning to the tenants to clean up, okay, or to get it done, whatever they think that is caused by the tenant, okay. In the events they don't do it, okay. Property agents have the right to actually invite the tenant out of your units, okay, to be more polite. All right. So so it's kind of different arrangement, okay, but over there they are very professional when it comes to all these property managements. All right. And you of course you have to pay a certain fees for this property management fees, and usually depends on the state. In Melbourne is about I would say 6 to 10% before GST, okay. So it depends on what sort of service that you want, okay. And this is one of the fees that you probably want to give, okay, rather than give you a peace of mind that without much headache, because they will do everything for you and compile the monthly reports or quarterly reports to you to show you how much they have actually helped you to collect the rent and how much bill they have actually helped you to pay. So make your life so easy, okay. In terms of any repairs or whatsoever, they will get a good quotations and get it done and fixed for you. All right. So other than that, you have this landlord insurance. Again, this is a must, okay. If you were to buy this landlord insurance, in the events that the tenant default your payments, the insurance company will actually cover your losses, okay. So again, this is actually one of the I would say must spend kind of expenses, okay, because at the end of the day, you want to have a sound and safe investment without much headache, okay. That is good, okay. I wish Malaysia have this landlord insurance eventually, okay. That will solve a lot of our problems. Okay, so in Australia, IQI Australia, we actually provide one-stop service to our clients. So we provide property valuations and acquisitions advice. We support finance applications and structuring, and we also coordinate settlements. We provide property management service. We do ongoing market updates and project updates, and it comes with multilingual because we have partners and local agents can speak multiple language like Chinese, okay, Cantonese, okay. So therefore, it's very helpful and friendly. So therefore, it's like to make your investment a peace of mind. So don't worry about that. With our presence, we can actually provide these so-called one-stop solutions. So anything after you invest with us, okay, we will hold your hand till the end. All right. So it's actually a good time to invest right now. I always say that the best time to invest is always yesterday, okay? Because a lot of clients come to me and say, "Oh, Mandy, I should have buy 10 years ago, or I should buy when during this period of time and all these things because that time is so cheap. And now I want to buy and the price have actually increased," which is true, okay? Property is more towards long-term investment, and I haven't seen any properties that have gone down the drain, okay, or can be immediately become deficit or zero overnight, like share markets, okay. So if you have extra cash and you want to diversify, so I would think that this is the best time to go in now. As you know that in Australia, every year is getting tougher and tougher for investors to invest because they impose quite a lot of different rates and fees and taxes and all these things as to compare to 10 to 20 years ago, whereby even though you invest property, you can get a PR, but now you can't, you see. So they always have imposed different rules and regulations as year goes by, okay. So therefore, it's always good to buy earlier, okay, invest earlier, even though it's for your kids' education, saving, or whatsoever, or retirement fund. It's always good to look at Australian market because it's safe and sound, okay, and it's very stable when it comes to Australian dollars because when you invest in Australia, not just the property alone, is also you're talking about the currency as well, and throughout so many years. In fact, Australia dollars is actually quite stable, and also increase the lending options again is one of the options you can consider because I think for the previous, I would say 3 to 4 years ago that lending has been very limited, okay. But right now they actually open up the door, okay, and they give a more attractive and flexible lending options to foreigner. So therefore, it's good that you actually consider now whereby there are more flexible mortgage options available and the interest rate is not too high as to compare to initially when they just closed the door for foreigner, okay. That time we can see the interest rate can be as high as about 15%, but right now I would say that generally you can get about 4 to 5% interest rate, which is actually quite good, all right. And first home buyers are back in the market due to the government giving the incentive and discount and so forth and so on. So when the demand is back, that's where the housing the house price will actually increase. But also because of that pandemic, all the labor costs, or I would say cost of material has been increased as well. So eventually we will actually relate to property price. It will eventually will actually push up the property price too because these are some of the main factors when consider purchase price. All right. So we always say that diversify your investment portfolio through real estate to hedge against the inflations and currency. And buying into Australia, one thing is good because right now it's freehold and there's no minimum purchase required for foreigner. Unlike in Malaysia, it's like foreigner wants to invest in Malaysia, depends on the state. Like if you talk about Kuala Lumpur, minimum investment is 1 million. Who knows later on they will impose this in Australia? So we wouldn't know. So why don't you invest now if you have extra fund? Okay, or you already thought of investing, why not do it now than later, whereby you have to pay a higher price, higher cost, and yet with more restrictions. like I mentioned, it's long-term capital appreciations. Okay, if you are going for flip or short-term, like less than 3 years, don't think about Australia. Okay, you can actually divert your investment to other countries, but not just Australia. Okay, Australia is more towards mid to long-term kind of investment. All right. Uh, Due to influx of the migrants from overseas, okay, no doubt there is a drop when during these 2 years of the pandemic. But again, I'm sure once this pandemic over, I'm sure a lot of people will still prefer to migrate or move into Australia because it's one of the most livable cities in the world. Okay, it's actually a great place to live and study, and a lot of people would want to retire there or send their kids over there. So that's where the demand for property will go up to. All right. So the last point is I did mention before is safe and sound as the initial deposit is paid to solicitor trust account and not developer. So in the event that anything goes wrong, you still can get back whatever deposits that you have. So in short, live locally, invest globally. Okay, so I hope you like my sharing today. Okay, just a simple guide into the real estate for those that who are first time thinking of invest in Melbourne and not too sure about it. I hope that this sharing will benefit you and you learn a bit from there. Okay, should you need more information, you can always visit our international sales channel to get the latest updates and market outlooks, okay, or the any hotspot or any good projects that you should invest. Okay, you can always join our Telegram, okay, or join our Facebook, okay, IQI International Sales, okay, or you can join our YouTube channel to listen to some of the education program whereby we actually tell you the pro and cons of invest in particular countries or in certain projects, what is the best area to look after, what are the investment criteria, the setback, okay, and to look into. So we have quite a few programs to share with you all right? And the Instagram to have our latest project informations and market updates, all right? And of course, we do streaming live, okay, like these sessions, okay, every Wednesday, 3 p.m. at IQI International Sales. And sometimes we will actually pop over to YouTube and we will do alternate Fridays or once a month on Friday, 9:30 at IQI International Sales at YouTube. Okay, so make sure you tune in and support us. Then we can do more educations and sharing with you all. And we will invest different guest speakers from across the group, okay, professionals to come in to share their experience and their knowledge to know how when come to invest abroad. Okay, so in short, do your research and invest wisely. Okay, thank you very much, and I hope you have a good day and good sessions. And should you need more information, you can scan my QR code and contact me. Okay, I have a team, a dedicated team to actually assist you when come to invest in overseas. So not just Australia, because IQI do have other global office as well. So chat with me, okay? If not, stay tuned with our channel and support our program. I'm sure you will benefit something from there. All right. So I hope everyone stay safe, take care, and have a good year ahead. Bye bye.
are the same. My wife and you, I will finish this race, not alone by myself, but with you. Though tough times come out my way, we will rise and become the new God. We will stand up and rise together. We will march into victory. Hold my hand and this day we know IQI is for you as it has been for me. Everyone shine. All of us is for a reason, for a greater design. We will stand up and rise together. We will march into victory. Hold my hand and this day we know IQI is for you as it has been for me. We will stand up and rise together. We will march into victory.